So we know how to insert functions in a certain point, and I wonder if, in this cell H9, there might be some function that is more suitable than the sum function, and then divide by the number of grades that we have on the left for calculating the average or calculate the mean. Okay, we see that indeed we already saw that the moment I don't click on the AutoSum function button, but I use the drop-down menu to the right, it gives us a set of functions that will usually be the most used by us in Excel tables. And we see that the first is the sum, fine, but the next one if the average function. The average function, essentially what it does is calculate what we were looking for in this cell, which is to calculate the average, calculate the arithmetic average of the 3 interim grades that this person had, to calculate their final grade. Okay, so we see here that this is a shortcut to this average function. The average function that is going to work the same as the sum function. It will make suggestions about what Excel thinks is going to be the range for which I want to calculate the average. This time we see that it has guessed correctly. It suggests E9 to G9, it indicates it in negative so that I can type any other range if this is not the right one. And furthermore it frames it for me so that if my sheet is very complex, I can easily see where this range begins and where it ends. Okay, I see that this is what we want. The average of the cells between E9 and G9, and then simply hitting intro, it will calculate the average for this person, which is the 5.97 it gave us earlier. Logically, if I copy this formula downward, logically it will calculate the references relative to the range to the left, and any one of them is the average of the 3 grades to its left. Okay. This is so because Excel usually was born or has its origins in the spreadsheets which, say, are normally used or are very easy to use or have great potential for drawing statistical conclusions, and so much so that, when we go to the functions drop-down menu, we have sum, we have average, and we have a plethora of functions that are precisely of a statistical nature. That is, that we, for example, we could say, what is the maximum all the grades here? So, we introduce the maximum function, not of these, but for example of all this range. This, it might be logical to some extent that all of these people, well of those that fit on the screen in range E9 to G27, what is the highest grade? We see that is very easy to see that is 9.70. If we had to look for it, it would be far more difficult to find this 9.70 which will be hidden here.
Here we see it.
The same thing happens if we want to calculate the minimum number of a set of values for example this one. Well, we know that the minimum grade is a 1, because otherwise it would be very difficult to find, not only in this sheet, but it is possible that we might also have data tables with 100,000, 10,000 numbers, and logically it is in these cases where the true power will be appreciated. Excel has many statistical functions. The most important, counting numbers and such like, we have here. But anyway, in any case, within the function's assistant insert function, besides searching for a function, we can also select those of a certain category, and we see that there is a category which is precisely that of statistical functions that we have here. And when we select this family, we see that this assistant window tells us all of them we have, so we see that if we are thinking about, for a table of values, drawing statistical conclusions, we see that we do indeed have many possibilities. That is, we could use any of them, but for example, to give a random example, I would use average. Well, we are going to calculate the median of this entire set. Well, the median first, what we have to do is know exactly what it is we want. It returns the median or the middle number of a set of numbers. That is, if we have a set of numbers, we order them from lowest to highest. The one that is in the middle is the median, which might be close or not close to the average. It is another statistical indicator that can be used on certain occasions. So what we do is simply accept this value, and as argument we give it the range, the one that has the values. I could do it for the whole table or for any set of the table. I select this, we accept, and we see that the middle value, in this case, of this set that we selected is 5.70. And we would do this with all the statistical functions. We have lots, and it is a whole world for specialists, but we will always find, whenever we have a problem, we will probably find a statistical function that can help us out.